Check it out, guys. Right now, I'm listening to Bruce Dickinson's Rock 6 show, whatever it's called, I don't know. I'm not from the UK. But anyways, I'm listening to their show right now, and they got Stone Gods on there. And they're playing one of their new songs. Their newest single right now is Night of the Living Dead. Check it out. I'm listening to it on my laptop, obviously. Hopefully you hear that.
That was Night of the Living Dead by us, the Stone Gods, from our debut album Silver Spoons and Broken Bones. We're going to talk about the making of the album in a little while, aren't we, Rich?
We are indeed, yeah.
But first, let's go back to the end of our previous band. Richie, do you want to explain what happened with a certain band beginning with D, how it fell apart?
Dio, I believe they're still touring actually, and they're still doing very well. Basically, the singer didn't want to do it anymore. There were some very well documented problems that he was having at the time, which I really don't need to go into. And he felt that he couldn't be in the band anymore, so so that was that really. I think everyone would agree that he was quite an iconic figure within us, and it would have been career suicide to carry on really, you know. We had to...
wasn't an option at all, was
we had to snip it off and start again, you know. But in hindsight, maybe it was for the best. Who knows?
I think so too.
Who knows?
Yeah. The brightest things shine brightly and then extinguisheth.
Exactly.
How's that? Who's that?
Yeah. But still and all, you know, there's a cracking little back catalogue there, really. You know,
Yeah.
which,
Reckon we managed to shoehorn a best of out of the two albums as well, which is a miracle. Anyway.
Plus the Christmas single, don't forget that one.
Oh, let's not tell the band, you know, let's not tell the band about it either.
Shall we move on,
Yeah.
Daniel? Shall we move on?
Moving swiftly on.
Right, so, listen, being completely honest, did you think that your rock and roll career was over? All those bloody first-class plane rides and limos and inflatable tigers and supermodels and God knows what. Do you think I was all gone?
This is quite strange, because we've never even talked about
we
this.
haven't. It's really
Everyone else asks these questions, but we just basically got our heads down and got on with it.
Yeah.
It was never an option at all, was it?
No.
It was like, okay, right, that band's finished, let's do another one.
I mean, it certainly wasn't for me, you know. And in fact, when I got the call from Justin, it was about half an hour later that you rang me. And I think we were on the phone for about half an hour, and by the end of it I was punching the air going, this is going to be amazing, we're going to be the best band in the world. It's you know, gone from being like really kind of, well that's it, to being really excited and pumped about being in a new band, you know. So how did Stone Gods come about, and what happened within the thing? Obviously a certain bass player from the previous project was promoted to the lofty heights of singer and rhythm guitarist.
He was never really a bass player though, was he? let's face it.
Thanks very much indeed.
He was never much of a bass player.
Do you want to do this on your own? What happened?
Well, basically, you stopped playing bass in the darkness and became the guitarist and lead vocalist in a band called Stone Gods that you and I formed with our buddy Ed, who was also the drummer in the darkness. And then we hired we've hired this bass player called Toby McFarlane.
We're not paid him yet, but we still hired him.
Yeah, he'll charge us one day probably. Yeah, and he used to be in Graham Coxon, didn't he? And play with.
He's been in a few bits and pieces, hasn't he? Charlotte Hafferty.
Yeah, known him for years. We've basically been writing for a bit, hadn't we? Like for about a month. Sorry, I'm trying to pronounce my THs. Quite nervous about it really, because the writing was going well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was going really well actually, and we were worried about changing the dynamic.
Yeah. But it was great, because he turned out I was quite nervous. I wasn't sure I was going to say, yes, I want to do it anyway. At that point, we'd pretty much been ditched by everyone other than our manager as well, bear in mind. So we were probably a little bit, sensitive and not particularly trusting. But yeah, it was great. Ended up in getting completely hammered. And I've actually got photographic evidence of a massive bundle.
I remember it
bundle? There are different words for this. What do they call it up north?
In the West Midlands, we call it a pylon.
That's right,
I don't know what you call it in various other places.
It's always been bundle in East Anglia.
Basically involves one person lying down and a load of other blokes jumping on top of him in a strictly non-sexual way. Almost violent, if you will.
Very violent, yeah. And then, and a band was born.
Yeah, it was a good night, wasn't it, man?
Yeah.
So, all right, then, that was the getting the band together. But obviously the writing process in the darkness was predominantly yourself and Justin. Did you have anything kind of put aside for a rainy day that wasn't darkness stuff that you sort of brought to the front with the Stone Gods, or did you just start from scratch?
Well, there were a few riffs knocking around, but then there always are, aren't there?
Yeah.
I've been writing guitarists, as you have, since I was born, basically.
Yeah.
The first one I had was great.
That one. Someone else.
Yeah, by the time I'd grown up
to record it.
When I was about 3, some bastard stole it. Anyway, but, some of the riffs that are on the album and some of the songs had been written probably around the time of the darkness, but they were just too heavy, and and couldn't really take them into the fold. So they're kind of saved for the really good band I was going to be.
Yeah, the Dan Hawkins solo.
Yeah, it was either going to be the Dan Hawkins experience or, I don't know, the Stone Gods.
Yeah.
So, when we started playing, were you a bit nervous, Rich? The first gigs, was it a bit of a weird time for us?
I suppose everyone was a little nervous, really, even though I don't think anyone admitted that they were nervous. I think there was probably a moment in the dressing room before that first gig at Leicester where everyone was sort of pacing up and down, being totally cool about it, going, yeah, I can't wait. But I think the overriding feeling was one of sheer relief that we were finally getting out and playing live after having been holed up in the studio for a year, writing and recording, and then rehearsing. Having not played a gig since, July 2006, it was...
well over a year.
It was just like, it was a massive release and just excitement beyond words, really.
It became real.
Exactly. All of a sudden, we were actually a band, it was brilliant. I mean, that first gig was great when it was...
I was crapping myself. Everyone hit it quite well.
Definitely, yeah.
But
Toby hit it with the aid of white wine.
Yeah, exactly. Dry white wine.
But I mean, when we finally walked out and fired up, it was brilliant. It was great, man.
Yeah, it was a good laugh. Really enjoyed those gigs.
I think it's that natural environment, really, isn't it? On the stage, it's like, however nervous you are beforehand, as soon as you walk out there and strike your first chord, it's...
I found if we're not playing, I just can't function. Like especially if there's like a month.
Slovenly, that is.
It's really bad, isn't it? Okay, enough waffle. We're going to play "I'm With the Band," which reminds me of that first gig with Thin Lizzy way back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. First track, side 2, Silver Spoons and Broken Bones, the forthcoming release from Stone Gods.